How's it going? Okay, this is Who Put That Blocker? It's me, Deborah99. It's Tata-Man99. So we just finished interviewing Matt, who's a co-founder of 24 Caret Games, and they made the game Retrograde. If you don't know what that is, look that up.
You don't know what that is, you're a freaking weirdo.
Retro/grade. It's amazing, and this is the intro, so if you're watching this, that means you're watching the interview.
It's the bomb, digger.
Okay, how's it going, Matt?
It's going pretty well, thank you, and you?
Okay, so,
Oh, he said, yeah, we're going good too, bro.
yeah. So, okay, so your game is Retrograde, and let's talk about it.
Sure.
We wrote down some simple questions, and we probably gonna freestyle at the end, so, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, so will we be seeing a good amount of boss battles in the game?
Yeah, there's definitely a good amount of boss battles. Let's see, we have basically 10 campaign levels, three of the levels are basically just boss battles. So we have introduced new gameplay mechanics, new different boss attacks for those levels.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, will we be seeing DLC?
We're not sure yet. It's definitely something we're considering, but we're taking sort of a wait and see approach, see how the game is received and if people are interested in more content.
Okay.
Okay. So will we be seeing like an online mode, or can we play with our friends maybe?
Well, we didn't have time to implement a networked play, which normally for rhythm games, basically networked play is you playing with a faked version of your friend, because basically due to internet latency, you can't really see what your friend's doing. So what they do is they just have a simulation of your friend playing along, which, you know, is not the most compelling thing from a gameplay perspective, playing with a computer program pretending to be your friend. So what we did is we focused on competitive scoring and integrating the leaderboards into the game really well. So that to us is sort of like our online competitive mode. We designed the game for competitive scoring, and assuming you're connected to PlayStation Network at the end of every level, it brings up the leaderboards, and you can see how you're doing compared to everyone else and compared to your friends list. So we felt like that was sort of, especially given the time constraints we had to work on the game, that was sort of the best user experience that we could provide.
Yeah, this game sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's gonna ask another wait.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. What difficulties are there?
We have 6 difficulties for the campaign mode. They have kind of silly names, so I can't really recall them all offhand. But basically, it starts simple, which basically is 2 lanes. And the patterns are really simple and basic. And so, like, one of the art director has, like, his, I think, 4-year-old kid is playing that and enjoying it. And then we go to the, you know, super crazy, which is 5 lanes, and the patterns are just insane for the super hardcore rhythm gamers.
Yeah.
In addition to the 6 difficulties of the campaign mode, basically the actual meat of the game is in the challenge mode. So in the challenge mode, we have 130 different challenges, which are based from the campaign levels, but they add new twists. And so that has a series of challenges that are even harder than the hardest level of the campaign mode. So
Yeah.
we basically tried to design the game such that there's a good chunk of content for people at every difficulty level. And certainly, you know, for those who are devoted, I mean, like, it's something like if you were to play through everything and get everything perfect on your first time, it takes like 13 hours, maybe 12 hours to do a full playthrough. And of course, you know, a lot of the content is really hard, so that's unlikely. So we really have a lot of gameplay for those who are, you know, willing to put in the time and really get good at all the really challenging stuff we have in there.
Yeah. Okay, so Rick Rocket is he still he's still the main character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, will we be maybe playing as like different rockets, or is we just gonna be mostly Rick Rocket?
So the way it works is we have a unlockable player ships inside challenge mode. So challenge mode has like a Super Mario World style sort of a world map where you can go along different paths and unlock secret paths that take you, you know, warp zones and take you to different things. And so on the map, there's a series of rewards. Some of the rewards are different player ships, and we're fortunate enough to get other indie developers to let us use some of their characters for the alternate ships. So, for example, if you unlock the right things, you can play as sort of a Minecraft version of Rick Rocket, or we have Super Meat Boy in like a Super Meat Boy ship that you can play as once you unlock them in the challenge mode.
That's amazing.
What type of gamers do you think would play this game?
I think the core game mechanics are all rhythm based, so I think the game mainly attracts rhythm gamers, you know, people who are a fan of that style of gameplay. But I think since it looks like a shooter, and we tried to, you know, incorporate elements from the, you know, shoot 'em up style games, I think we'll get some crossover fans who really like shmups who will like the game. But I think mainly it's a rhythm game at its core, and that's going to be the largest chunk of our audience.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play it on guitar.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun, and certainly it's a new experience. I think some people go into the game expecting, you know, oh, this is going to be another Guitar Hero, this is going to be another Rock Band, but it's definitely its own game, and we have, you know, a lot of different stuff and a lot of, you know, cool and interesting stuff.
Yeah, it looks like it's its own, like, yeah.
It's going to be better than Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
I mean, certainly, you know, I like it better, but I'm a little biased, so
yeah.
Hopefully,
So
we'll see what people think.
So if this game gets like a lot of buys, will you be like making a sequel?
I mean, certainly that's a possibility. We'll definitely have to you know, wait and see how the game does and see what we feel like doing. I mean, we spent almost 4 years working on the game, so on one hand, I'd almost like to take a break from retrograde, but you know, on the other hand, we've put a lot of effort into this, and we really have you know, like sort of finding your stride and finding, you know, the mechanics of the game and keying in on that, you know, takes a lot of work. And so, you know, I mean, on the other hand, it might be nice to sort of, you know, reap the rewards of all the effort we put into this game, because if we start with a new game, there's a lot of, you know, work and source code and art files we can't use, and we have to start over, which is not the easiest task when you have a small team. So yeah, I really can't tell you because I don't know myself, but it's definitely something we'll consider, you know, depending on how the game sells.
Yeah, I've been watching videos too of, like, you know, you from 4 years ago to now, and you guys really updated the game.
Yeah, we pretty much redid everything like twice, which may not have been the best approach. In hindsight, but really, the market has changed significantly over the past 4 years, and consumer expectations have grown, and so we've sort of struggled to keep up with that because we've had such a small team. So we've really had to sort of revisit some things and redo them just so we can, put out a really polished, a really great and fun product.
Yeah.
Okay. What modes other than story mode are in this game?
So there's the campaign mode, which has the story, and then there's a challenge mode, which is really the bulk of the content. There's, that's where you unlock all the extra content, of which we have a ton. There's also a practice mode, which basically gives you unlimited retro fuel, so you can reverse and try things again, as well as you have infinite health. We have some other things like some cool additional content, like there's sort of a DJ mode. So in the challenge mode, you can unlock songs in our music player, and our music player is basically set up as 2 turntables and a mixer. And so you can, start the track and do the beat matching and sort of just play around as a DJ, with the music in retrograde, which, we tried to just make, something else fun you could do with the game, and some ideas I was sort of batting around my head for, different DJ stuff, and so that ended up, it ended up being more fun than I had expected, just for a music player, so it's kind of like its own little mode. If that, obviously it's not going to appeal to everyone, and it's not like super professional DJ software. But it's another fun thing you can do in retrograde.
The music sounds great so far. Like I just love the beats and everything.
Yeah, definitely. One of the main things in the game is we really wanted to have music that could stand on its own, just because it's a rhythm game, and so the music is important. That's what you're playing along to, and if you're playing the game, and keep failing, we don't want songs that get on your nerves or anything. So we worked really hard with the composer to come up with really great music that also worked for the game design, because one of the things is in Rock Band, there's sort of an uneven difficulty curve depending on the songs, right? Because basically they're constrained to the music they license. So I think it's there's a Beastie Boys song, if you play it on Expert, it's just strum every 2 measures, because that's what the music is. But we wanted a smoother difficulty curve and sort of different music for different types of gameplay elements. So we worked very closely with the composer to come up with music that was both sounded really good and also worked for the game design, which it ended up being a lot harder than it sounds, just because sometimes what works best for the music isn't what works best for the game design.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay, so I've been reading about your game a lot, and I've heard that this game so far is a PlayStation exclusive, but you've been trying to get it on other game systems, right?
Well, basically we're releasing on PlayStation Network, and that's it for now. We're definitely interested in possibilities for other platforms, but certainly we're not really sure what options are available to us. One of the things I've read, and I don't know exactly what the policies are, but it's my understanding that Microsoft, for example, will not let you release a game that was published first on PlayStation Network on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the policy is on that, but one of the reasons we're focusing on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Network is because Sony has a really good program for indies, and they recognize basically the types of things indies want which is basically sort of free reign. So Sony takes a very hands-off approach to indie development, which is sort of exactly what we want. We want to be able to come up with crazy, wild new ideas and execute them. And, you know, like we've talked to people at publishers and we, you know, explain the game idea. And, you know, some of them are like, oh man, we love the game, but we can't publish it because there's no way we could explain this to our marketing department. Like, our marketing department just wouldn't get it, so this is not something we're interested in. And, I mean, that's one of the great things about being indie and you know, also self-publishing on PlayStation Network is it doesn't matter if Sony's marketing gets the game or not. It's not their call, basically. I mean, they have a content approval, so we can't, you know, make something really awful, but you know, they like Retrograde. They see what we're trying to do, and they say, you know, go for it. Do whatever crazy things you want. So
Yeah.
it's been a cool experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you go anywhere besides space in the game, like different maps or something?
Yeah. Basically, each level has a different setting. So some of the ones are in space, some are over planets and different things. We have, like, you know, different themes and different sort of art styles for the different planets and different areas of space. So yeah, there's a good variety of locations and backgrounds in the game.
Okay. So, will this be available on the PS Vita?
As of right now, we don't really have plans for Vita. I mean, right now we're just focusing on PlayStation 3 and then sort of taking a bit of a vacation and just seeing what you know, how the game is received and figuring out what we'll want to do, what we'll be interested in doing next. To do the game on Vita would require a lot of effort, just because we really wrote a lot of code, sort of pushing the PlayStation 3's performance and really trying to create the best game we can for PlayStation 3. The problem with that is that work doesn't really carry over to the Vita, because the Vita has different hardware and whatnot. I mean, I don't know. I'm not super familiar with the Vita's hardware or software, but I imagine it will, you know, not be a trivial thing where we just say, okay, now it runs on Vita. You know, there'll be a lot of work, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, certainly, if we think there's a demand for it on Vita, then we'll definitely look into the feasibility. But you know, PlayStation 3 is what we've been sort of working on for the past several years. So
yeah. So, do you have any more questions?
No, ma'am.
Well, do you have anything maybe you want to say about the game that we missed?
Let's see. Certainly, pretty thorough. Well, and I imagine you guys are familiar with the game, and you know, like the retro rockets. You can collect retro fuel, and you can actually rewind time again and undo your mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the neat features, and then certainly I encourage everyone to play challenge mode. I don't know if people just, you know, play the campaign on one difficulty and say I'm done, but I think really the game really shines in challenge mode, and that's really sort of our best the best part of the game.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm gonna be playing challenge mode for sure.
Same
I'm
here.
sorry?
Oh, sorry.
You're gonna what? Be playing
The game.
Oh, sorry.
And the challenge mode and everything.
Oh, challenge mode. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Sorry, it's a little hard to hear sometimes with Skype, but yeah, excellent. Well, I'm glad you guys are really excited about the game. I really hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. You can like the Facebook and you can follow Twitter, and you're giving out codes, right? A lot.
Yeah. So yeah, we're trying to do a lot of different ways to promote the game, to get the word out, because we don't have a marketing department. You know, our team is basically 2 people, and so
Yeah.
we're we're trying to do give away codes and sort of do grassroots word of mouth. You know, people get the game early and say, "Oh, it's cool," and tell their friends to check it out. We're also the PlayStation blog is going to be giving away some codes too. I'm not exactly sure what their plans are for that, but if you want like extra chances to win, I think you can follow at PlayStation on Twitter, and then yeah, I don't know, but I think they have some other codes too that might be giving out for a podcast, PlayStation podcast or something. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, certainly there'll be lots of opportunities to get the game early, and we're really trying to sell people on the quality of the game, and rather than bombarding them with the ads, we try to create something really, really cool and interesting, and then hopefully it will sell itself.
Yeah, I just can't wait, man. So,
awesome.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and yeah, I hope you like the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell everybody about it.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for letting us interview you.
Not a problem. Bye.
Okay. Bye.